Chapter 29. Lost goods, lost something. Lost honor, lost much. Lost courage, lost all. German proverb. I spent the early evening back in the tunnel with Fritz. After clearing through the rock, he had made good progress that afternoon. "It's to the point where we have to know how much farther to go," Fritz said. "You need to get into Anna's apartment and look at the death strip." I had already told him about her visit that afternoon. If only I could go back and redo that moment in a smarter, kinder way. "She won't let me in," I said. "Not now." "You have to get inside," he insisted. "There is nothing more important with this tunnel than knowing when it's safe to go to the surface. If we come up too early, we'll be in the death strip. And if we tunnel longer than necessary, we might run out of time or get caught." "I'll find a way." Somehow. I exhaled a harsh breath as dread began to fill me. It was bad enough for me to use our friendship for such a dangerous reason. But the friendship was obviously over, and getting into her apartment now would be a product of lies and manipulation. On the few nights when I didn't crash into my bed asleep, I prayed that God would forgive me for all the lies I'd had to tell on our path to freedom. Fritz said he didn't pray for forgiveness because he didn't consider those lies a sin. He believed it was wrong to lie, but not as wrong as keeping us trapped behind a concrete wall. He said that instead, he prayed for all those people who were forced to serve a country they didn't believe in. Good people who held guns against us through no fault of their own. "What about the people who want to hold those guns?" I asked. "I don't pray for them," he said. "I can't." And I decided in that very same moment that I would. Somebody had to. Not long before we intended to quit for the evening, Fritz began using the shovel as a wedge to pry out a rock lodged deep into the dirt. We pressed down on the handle together, but the rock was more embedded than we had expected, and now he had pushed the blade so far into the dirt that it was stuck too. Neither would budge. "Let go," Fritz said. "Let me try something." He grabbed the handle with both hands, then jumped in the air and let his full weight come down on the wood. Something cracked and Fritz fell to the ground. "No!" Fritz leapt to his feet again with the broken shovel in his hands. I aimed our flashlight at the rock, and sure enough, the splinters from the other end of the handle stuck out of the earth like a porcupine's quills. "We can get another shovel," I said. "They'll have others at the store." "Shovels are expensive, Goethe." He ran a hand through his hair, then kicked at the wall. "It'll take the rest of the money from Papa." But it couldn't. We had agreed the rest of the money would be for groceries. In fact, we were quitting early tonight to buy them on our way home. I had spent half the day creating a shopping list in my mind. We'd have bread and sausages and potatoes and maybe a chocolate or two. Even cabbage sounded good. He wiped his sweaty hair from his face. "We have to make a choice. It's either the food or another shovel." "Isn't there one we could borrow?" I asked. "There were other shovels in the storage beneath our apartments. Someone will loan one to us." "Once we're gone, the Stasi will look at everyone who might have been involved. If we borrow someone's shovel, the Stasi will say they helped us escape." "What if we steal one?" I spoke the words quietly, almost hoping he wouldn't hear them. But he did. He turned to me with his eyes wide. "Are you suggesting that, Goethe?" I had stolen the pulley, though I didn't really consider that a crime since it clearly hadn't been used in years and didn't appear to belong to anyone. But to steal a shovel from our own building, that was different. It was wrong, and I knew it. The question was whether I could live with it. "How many laws have we broken already?" I asked him. "We've lied to the state and to the police and to nearly everyone we've spoken to in the last month. You said yourself that isn't wrong, not for this tunnel. We accepted the hand tools and seeds to work on a garden we have no intention of harvesting. Worst of all, we are right now sitting directly below the death strip. What does a stolen shovel matter at this point?" Fritz shrugged. "I suppose it matters to the person who owns it." I leaned against the wall and listened to the growl of my stomach. If we used the last of our money to buy a shovel, starvation was becoming a very real possibility. Some of what the state teaches is important, Fritz said tiredly. We do have a responsibility to be good citizens, even if we are rebelling against some of their laws, maybe even their biggest law right now. That doesn't mean we can rebel against everything that is right. They are also telling the truth when they say there are people in the West who will take advantage of others for their own profit. Some people use capitalism to help themselves and let the rest suffer for it. I guess what I'm asking, Goethe, is if that's who you want to be when we're free. Are you willing to sacrifice other people if it means you can get ahead? I closed my eyes and let only a single tear escape the corner. No, I mumbled. No, of course not. So we wouldn't steal the shovel, and the rest of Papa's money would buy a new one, and we'd pray that it held together until the tunnel was completed. I was still hungry, though, really hungry. I just didn't say it. There we sat for some time, mourning the loss of the shovel and collecting our strength to go home to an empty apartment with empty cupboards. Filthy, exhausted, and alone. No, not alone. Footsteps had just landed on the floor of the air raid shelter, I was sure of it. Fritz had heard it too. We got to our feet and he pressed me behind him, then held out the broken shovel handle as a weapon. Whoever was on the other end had a flashlight. We saw glimpses of the light as it bounced from one wall to another. Then it turned in our direction and the footsteps came toward us. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. We both already knew that Fritz's broken handle was useless against the weapons likely headed our way. Then the light rounded a bend in the tunnel, and a man's voice ordered us to raise our hands and to drop the stick. His light shone directly in our faces, preventing us from seeing who he was. But it didn't matter. I recognized the voice from yesterday. So, the Low children are doing something far more than gardening. Officer Mueller lowered his flashlight, allowing us to see his face, cast in hard angles of light and dark shadow. In his other hand, a glint of metal was reflected. His gun. Even this far below ground? I'm sure you know where you are right now. The death strip.